everyone, welcome to PoCoCo's first Twitter space. For those who do not know us, PoCoCo stands for Polkaswap Community Collective, and we are a group of individuals united by our enthusiasm for Polkaswap, the DEX, and the future liquidity hub for Polkadot ecosystem and beyond. And moreover, we are fans of an interoperable future. And our goal is to grow the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem with a focus, of course, on, but not limited to, the Sora network. And we strongly believe every project that is building here in the Polkadot and Kusama space will benefit from each other and add value to each other. And also not just to the projects, but also to the users, us, the community members, of course. My name is Benno, I'm the ecosystem lead at PoCoCo. And for our first chat, we welcome Bruno from Remark, Makoto from Sora, and Alex and Young Beef from Subsocial. There will be an opportunity for you, the community members, to ask questions at the end. We are recording this conversation, so you can listen again later on if you desire. Bruno, let's start with you. Can you introduce yourself, what you do, where you are with Remark at the moment, and what is your team working hard on?
So I'm Bruno. I am the founder of Remark, the world's most advanced NFT protocol. And we started last year. Well, technically we started this year. And we now run the singular marketplace on Kusama for NFTs and also Canaria, a prototype of the most advanced NFT project out there right now with a very rich item economy and some other stuff. What we're working hard on right now is we are rewriting the Remark logic as smart contracts and also as Rust palettes to include in Parachains so that other chains can leverage our the logic that we came up with to actually make this the most advanced NFT system. And both of those efforts are well underway, progressing nicely. We should have a runnable MVP of both things in January and something testable even before that. So during these holidays, we should be able to fire something up and play with it in a non-production way. So this is what we're working on right now. And in the kind of long-term plan is to launch our Metaverse game to kind of include, to kind of, demonstrate the functionality that we have created as part of the protocol.
Okay, thank you very much. Young Beef, maybe can you also introduce yourself?
All right. Yeah, I'm Young Beef. I'm the community manager and content lead for Subsocial. I'm also doing some business development stuff. So writing all of our announcements, managing the community, coordinating with other projects for getting some integrations going.
Maybe let's go first to Makoto before Alex.
Sure. So I'm Makoto Takemiya. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SORAMITSU and one of the contributors to the Sora project and also to PoCoSwap. I'm a computer scientist. I've been in blockchain space since 2013, and I have lots of interests ranging from AI to economics, and I do lots of different things. So happy to be here today.
Thank you and welcome. Alex, do you manage to unmute yourself?
Hello guys, I'm Alex Siman, founder of Subsocial. Subsocial is a social networking protocol for .sama. Recently we secured slot on Kusama. I'm very happy about that. I'm personally a software developer with I worked in this space for more than a decade, and I enjoy building something different in blockchain. I mean, comparing to all the DEXs around left and right. So I am very happy building Subsocial. We have tons of challenges like onboarding, improve onboarding of people, trying to make transactions cheaper or even free. So lots of stuff happening, and very happy to have such great advisors, including Bruno. And yeah, lots of things is upcoming because of this Parachain. So we're gonna have two chains. One is Solar chain optimized for social networking, another one for more financial stuff that will be Parachain. So we need to have a bridge. we need to have some stuff on Parachain, something on Solo chain. So yeah, this is in short about me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, a lot of work to have a Parachain up and running on Kusama, I can imagine. All right. Before maybe continuing to the topic of the day on life of the individual in the interoperable future, recently it was announced that Sora and Remark are doing an integration. And because it's the first time the two of you are live, Makoto and Bruno, can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that for our community members?
Sure. So we have we've partnered up in a way that helps promote both projects and also kind of encourage collaboration between our two communities. This is done by us. So we have this really elaborate NFT system where you actually have NFTs that can own other NFTs, and this project Canaria that we have is a collection of NFT birds that can equip other items, and these items are just NFTs that work well standalone on their own, but also can be equipped into the birds. And so now we're going to be minting some of these equipable NFTs for people who crowd loan to Sora, but also these NFTs might have some functionality in the metaverse later on, so that it's not just visual, it's also like literally usable in an environment, and also they might have some utility on the Sora network itself. So you might be able to get some benefits there, but that's up to the team and the community and so on.
Makoto, is there something you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just say that I'm a big fan of Bruno's work, and I think it's really exciting to have these NFTs as rewards for the crowd loan. And also, we want to integrate future palettes as well into our networks. So it'll be, kind of another application that's built on top of the Sora network, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, I know me and many others are excited about this integration, and we look forward to seeing the result of that. Okay, moving forward. So you are all towards a better world for the individual in your own way, all working in the Kusama and Polkadot ecosystem with it. And you're also all of you in different stages of interaction with the Kusama relay chain and with other ecosystem projects. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on your choice, why specifically you want to build in this ecosystem or build for a relay chain and not on another existing network, or and maybe what you hope to see added value from the Kusama relay chain that you don't find elsewhere? Can you elaborate a bit on the why? Why Kusama? Why Polkadot? Who would like to start? Alex, maybe you?
Yeah, so we like innovative nature of Kusama, because Kusama is like a couple steps ahead of Polkadot, and it was always interested to me because of all the startup spirit. Plus, we already have lots of different parachains with different functionalities on Kusama functioning. Not everything is deployed, of course, but we already have several projects that we're interested to integrate with, for example, like stablecoin from Karura and decentralized identities from Killed. And recently, Zeitgeist launched a lot in batch with us, so prediction markets also could be something very interesting for social integration with social networking. And yeah, like this, plus plus what? Plus Kusama people. Yeah, I don't remember. so yeah,
no worries.
like
okay. Cool. Someone else who has what are your reasons specifically to build on Substrate or to build in the system or go for a parachain there?
Well, I was working at the Web3 Foundation at the time I started Remark, so it was purely a kind of like a favoritism of the current ecosystem. And since I like Kusama more than Polkadot, I chose Kusama. It was also very easy and practical to experiment on. Not only was it cheap in terms of transactions, but also we had a completely clean slate, free of the bureaucracy from other ecosystems where you would have to go through months of governance discussions to add a new standard. We could just, experiment, deliver, ship really, really fast, really, really awesome tech without having to ask anybody for any kind of permission. We didn't have to bother with the crowd loaning since we launched as a kind of hack on Kusama. And so this enabled us to basically launch a very profitable and full product in less than 6 months from starting, which was really awesome. 2 products, that is. So it was just a very, very exciting environment to be in. It also helps that Kusama is kind of like bent on this experimental nature, this artsy vibe, which really matches the NFT kind of ethos and ecosystem in general. So it just felt good, and I really welcomed the challenge to build something in an environment without smart contracts. Was it smart? Not really, because it would have been way easier to build something in any other smart contract supported environment. But I wanted to experiment with Kusama because I was deep into Kusama at the time, and that was basically, almost the only reason apart from that governance bureaucracy thing.
Yeah, you mentioned that you prefer Kusama over Polkadot. You mentioned speed. What are the main reasons for you to have chosen this path for Kusama over Polkadot?
It's faster. It evolves faster. It has faster governance, faster. Everything happens faster here. It gets features first. I think it's more decentralized in terms of holdings, or at least, if not more decentralized, then better distributed. Where here you have maybe whales, but these whales are part of the community. Whereas in Polkadot, the vast majority of the DOT tokens are in VC hands with extremely deep holders, which is something that I do not like. I also think that Kusama is arguably more censorship resistant than Polkadot, purely because of the way the governance in that Kusama works. So I believe that Kusama has actually a brighter, more fun, artsy future than Polkadot, which might become like the IBM of blockchains in a way, kind of like slow to move, enterprisey, host to all the mega corporations and governments, but not at all fun.
Yeah, I've read a few times indeed that Kusama can be seen as the relay chain for the people and Polkadot for the institutions.
Yep.
Makoto, what is your point of view, or on Kusama and Polkadot?
Yeah, but I like both Polkadot and Kusama, and I think there's quite a lot of benefits to both communities. I think I totally agree with what others said, that Kusama definitely is more quickly evolving, and to me, it's really the it's kind of like I don't want to say the real Polkadot, but it is kind of like what the promise is, and I do also get the vibe that Polkadot has a lot of VC control, but that also means that it like attracts different types of users and ecosystem as well. So to me, I really like the ecosystem just because of the promise of kind of interoperability and being able to, well, when the vision is complete, to be able to do interchain messaging and then also shared computation across different chains is really fascinating. And I can't wait for a lot of these features to be fully fleshed out, implemented. But until then, it's a really vibrant community. I've been pretty impressed by the quality of a lot of the people in the projects, partly because it's not just another Ethereum dApp where people can just copy some Solidity code and make some edits and launch something. You really have to have quite a lot of technical knowledge to be able to work in Substrate and in Rust. And so it kind of self-selects for, I guess, a higher intellect of crowd, at least for now. And I think that's really quite intellectually stimulating, and really it's quite a fun ecosystem to be in compared with Ethereum, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Young Beef, you are also very active in the Kusama ecosystem, also besides Subsocial chain. You're an NFT creator, content lead, crypto researcher, active in DAOs. What is your take on Kusama and Polkadot from your point of view?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it that the Kusama is the real Polkadot, which is kind of a joke, but I do think that community is probably the most important thing around blockchains, and maybe I'm just not as involved in the Polkadot community. I don't even have any dot. I sold it all for more KSM, but it really seems like there isn't really a dot community. I mean, the crowd loans have already started and stuff, and people talk about it some, but the community around Kusama seems to be way bigger. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens once like Akala and Moonbeam tokens start trading, what the price looks like, because you can make an argument that DOT is like 10 times more expensive, and you're having to lock DOT tokens to get these parachains, so you would assume that the parachain tokens on Polkadot would also cost more, but why would someone use Akala that costs 10 times as much to use when they can use Karura that does the same thing once we have a bridge between Polkadot and Kusama? So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, but yeah, I've called Polkadot the suit net before in reference to all the VCs, and Kusama as the community net, because I think that's pretty accurate in my opinion.
Thanks for that. Looking back at the past month, so we now are nearing 20 parachains, a lot of projects lining up to get a parachain. Polkadot just launched the first 5 parachains. It is, I think, the start of a growth process and time that is coming up. What do you think that still needs to be delivered, or what are the gaps currently to blossom and shine like it's supposed to? What is not yet there, or what is blocking it from currently bringing it to its full glory? Someone who wants to start on that?
I would say 2 main things. One is a much better user experience. So I think Talisman is solving that problem from what I've seen so far. And number 2 is the cross-chain messaging protocol, because that's really the whole big thing about .sama is the communication between the parachains. So we still don't really have that in full force yet. So it hasn't blossomed yet, so to speak.
Someone else would like to add to that?
Well, yeah, I would just kind of emphasize the same thing, that XCMP and Spree really have to be fully implemented and available, I think, to really reach the full potential. Also, I think there's improvements to be made in the user interface too. So that's one of the reasons why we work on Fearless Wallet, is because we want really to make a really fun and kind of dead simple user interface that anyone can use. And I think these greater better end user experience than better dev experience by having kind of an easy to use and working XCMP will make some big difference in the ecosystem.
Yep, that's spot on. The cross-chain communication promise has not been fulfilled yet, so this needs to be shipped ASAP. And Spree will also help here a lot, because right now we're constructing teleport messages manually, and it's a nightmare. Also, like, there are a lot of things that need to be abstracted away from people. Any kind of gas cost in general, whether it be in KSM or any other chain's native token, that just can't work in the current model, especially not every chain setting its own rules. Like when you have state mine and statement like chains that require you to have a bit of KSM or DOT in order to even accept a custom token, that's a nightmare, on its own. And when you consider how hard it is, this is a problem that we've had a lot, how hard it is to integrate this with centralized exchanges, for example. Centralized exchanges monitor your deposits by generating an address for you to which you can then send tokens, but they will generally be completely oblivious to the rules of these chains, and so they will not precede these deposit addresses with some KSM or DOT. So you will be responsible for making these deposits, and so then you also cannot make these deposits from within the centralized exchange, and so you have to go to Polkaswap apps, and it's a whole dance that you have to go through in order to just do a trade, which is completely nonsensical. And the way around this is to both abstract away any kind of gas cost and any kind of deposit cost, and also to enable this cross-chain messaging as soon as possible in a high-quality way that is automatable to a very high degree without council intervention, so that apps can finally start, communicating autonomously without having to petition various counselors and, wait for their replies. And it's just a very, very stiff experience right now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I agree. What do you know the timeline of the cross-chain messaging? When will that be launched?
It kind of works right now, but you have to manually construct the teleports, and it also goes through the relay chain. So it's not known when the cross-chain messaging through collators will start working, and it is also not known when Spree will start. So Spree, nobody's even started developing on the Spree in a while. Mm-hmm. The collator pass messaging should be relatively soon-ish, so within a few months, I think. That'll improve things a lot already, but just the Spree thing is very important, and just simplifying the UIs around all of this will also be very, very important. But there's no timeline given by anyone now.
What about the big global adoption of people who are new to this technology? For me, a sign of real adoption has always been looking at my parents. Once they start using it, I see it as a sign of adoption. This was the case with mobile phone, Facebook, Instagram, reading newspapers online, etc. I see them now also starting with their first steps into crypto, but I still see a big gap between absolute user friendliness for people who are not really driven to dive into it, like the people here in this call probably. So you have thousands of tokens, wallets, website bridges, exchanges. It's a lot to digest, and you need to dedicate a lot of time to really get into it. So I saw the Gavin Woods movie recently about Polkadot's ecosystem, where he sees a future for Web3 and Polkadot where anyone can easily use it, all the apps without the need for tokens and complex logins and everything. What do we still need to do for that, and how are you guys contributing, each in your own way, to make it as user friendly as possible and to really grow adoption beyond Kusama and crypto people?
Yeah, maybe I'll start.
Yep.
So actually, yeah, my mom was able to buy, she bought some Noir last year when there was like a rebate given in VAL tokens, well, turned into VAL. So she was able to get some Noir and then ended up with some VAL tokens from that, which I don't know what she does with them, but she at least installed the wallet and was able to play around with it a little bit, which is kind of encouraging. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's quite a lot of a long way to go for mass adoption, really, around the area of key storage and being able to have good backups and safety nets when people inevitably lose their phones or lose their keys. So this, yeah, it's an area of active research. We do have some ideas on how to improve this some. But it's always some kind of trade-off, between maybe security and centralization versus this, fully decentralized, but not really flexible to beginners. So that's a really big issue that has to be solved in order to really get to mass adoption. And without that, we can't really, I think, have mass adoption. In my personal work, we focus mainly on just the economics, really. So that's what we do really in Sora, is we focus on trying to create a decentralized economic system, which really means a decentralized way to create money and then, allocate it. So we don't, well, I personally don't spend a lot of my energy like focusing on things like other types of dApps that are not really economic related. So, other people are doing like really great work in that space, and I like the work that Gavin is doing with making generalized solutions. But at least in Sora, we kind of make things a lot more specific just for economics, and that allows us to, I think, make faster progress because we're not trying to solve, more generalized problems related to Web3, but rather just focusing on really decentralized economics. So that's some of what we're doing. But then on the user interface side, we're doing lots of research with the Sora app and then Fearless Wallet as well, in trying to have some reasonable backups for people for when they lose their keys. Because my dream really is to get countries to use Sora or to use Zor as their legal tender. And for that to be supported, there has to be really an idiot-proof wallet solution for that to work. So that's a big area of focus right now.
Okay, thank you. Someone else?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, kind of a system of credit balances. So something like where you have a balance that is non-spendable for anything else other than interacting with the app you want to interact with. And this makes it very easy to not only sell these credit balances. So you can imagine it as like you have some sub tokens for Subsocial, and you burn those, and this turns into a credit balance. And this credit balance is one way. So you only have this credit balance on your account, but it acts like a prepaid card for your mobile phone or something. And what you get with this is you would only do authorizations for the chain to deduct that balance, but this balance is not transferable or sellable. The advantage of this is that not only do you get like a kind of a better faucet system where you don't have bots farming your token and selling it, but also the biggest advantage here is that if you do it like this, then a user doesn't have to be running a node interacting dApp on the device they're using. For example, you don't have to emit a transaction in order to interact with the chain. You can instead only sign a message. That message gets passed to a node to some software that sits between in this case, Subsocial node and the application you're using. And now the software or the Subsocial node has the ability to verify this message as being sent by the owner of that credit balance. The key here, even though it sounds like trivial and pointless from the surface, but the key here is that you have access from any device to a non-transferable balance that can be used to interact with the chain, and you don't have to wait for a transaction to be sent and completed. Instead, you only send a message, you forward it along to any kind of middleman software that will execute it for you. And that software will then instead be rewarded by the network in the fee that it cost to put this message on chain. So what you get here is an incentivization layer for other people to build on your protocol, but also a security layer where you can literally onboard people by giving them a hot wallet, like on a business card, you make a hot wallet that they just scan like a QR code, and it opens a URL where the private key of that wallet is actually in the URL. This is automatically then instantiated into local storage, so they actually have a preloaded wallet in whatever UI they open up, and they can immediately interact with the chain without having to worry about signing transactions or any other balancey nonsense. They don't have gas that they're exposed to. Instead, they just sign messages, and the app automatically just sends them and deducts this credit balance that you have pre-funded for them. And since it's pre-funded, there's no way for them to sell it or abuse this. They can only use it to use the so I'm a big fan of this cost abstraction where people aren't aware of any kind of native token they need to use the chain, because it's automatically imply that they have it as a credit balance on chain, which anybody else can top up, not just them.
Okay, so it's a prepaid shopping Visa card like they have now to separate it.
Yeah, exactly. Like a gift card, like an Apple or a Steam or an Xbox gift card that you would buy, which also kind of frees you up from a lot of the regulatory pressure, because you don't have to sell tokens. You're no longer selling speculative cryptocurrency as a financial vehicle. You're now selling utility credits for a specific network.
Okay, and is that something that you are working on or planning to work on?
No, this is something that I'm just thinking about. We do focus hard on UX at Remark. We try to make it as intuitive as possible, but there's always this barrier of needing some tokens to interact with the network. So we would like to experiment with this when we move to smart contracts and or pallets, where this exact model can be used. So you just, for example, if you just include the key argument into the URL, in that key argument, you literally pass in the private key of a wallet. Somebody can just instantiate their singular account with some balance, or even this on-chain credit balance that they can then spend on NFTs. But this is not something that we've tried out yet.
Okay, so you could basically give a prepaid gift card to your kid for his Christmas, and he can buy NFTs with that, something like that.
Exactly, yeah. Or do anything else if I give him, like a gift card with sub credit, so he can interact with Subsocial. If I give him a gift card with some other non-financial tokens that are usable in other dApps or.
Okay, cool. I look forward to seeing that evolve further. Yeah, Alex or Young Beef, how are you working towards bigger or better adoption for people who are not really willing to dive into crypto blockchain?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at how to improve our user experience. That idea that Bruno was just talking about, we've been talking about that with him for the last day or two. We're still trying to wrap our heads around it. It's pretty big brain, but it does seem like it would be a good thing to do, because definitely having the tokens is probably the single biggest hurdle, and then you have to deal with a wallet and private keys and all that. And people are used to quote unquote free social networks, so the idea of having to spend something to use it is a big hurdle. So we have a couple ideas on how to do free transactions. That's one of them. We're still investigating those.
Yeah, I must say that was indeed for me the biggest hurdle when using Subsocial for the first time. I didn't have any sub coins, and so I wasn't able to publish what I wanted to write. So that's something that can definitely improve the adoption of Subsocial. Okay, thank you for that. So yeah, a few days ago, let's go a bit more in the direction of the latest news. So a few days ago, it hit the news that on Instagram, part of the Facebook group or the Meta group, how you want to call it, an account was disabled with the handle @Metaverse for more than a month, a few days after the rebranding was announced. Besides the centralized control, of course, of Facebook or Meta, we can all make a case either for or against it. I'm also thinking about voter manipulation or another centralized authority, more relevant for Sora, maybe the central bank, who keeps on printing money, which impacts, of course, all of these impacts the life of individuals, hardworking people, without having a say into this. What specifically do you think that are the benefits of your solution, and how are you breaking with these? We know you work in a decentralized way. What exactly will this mean for the user, for the individual?
I mean, blockchains always been about, for me, to be able to send any message to anyone anywhere in the world at any time. And then that message can contain money, or it can be just a hello message, or it can be some content that the overlords don't want you to see, like something over the Chinese Great Firewall. and this freedom of messages is what we're ultimately all developing. Even when you're dealing with something as seemingly banal as NFTs, especially the NFTs of the past generation, like the Bored Apes and all of the other ones that are popular right now. Even though like nobody's gonna die if they lose access to their Bored Ape. Well, at this point they might, but it's not as serious as some other things. And yet every single experiment that we do in this space forwards the technology at least a little bit in terms of both learning from mistakes, learning from people who got hacked, learning from people about basic financial and OPSEC hygiene, just generally spreading the knowledge, making it more accessible to people. Many people hate what the NFT space has become, full of hype and just every celebrity and their dog wanting to launch an NFT. But this is good because it actually exposes a lot of people, even if by force, to NFTs, which helps two things. It helps people learn that they can and should be their own bank in many cases. And two, it helps people explore like just new types of content and learn new things and kind of deprogram themselves from the current mass media, where previously they might see in the media things like NFTs hijack girl and force her to draw, and that's a headline you'll see in mainstream media, but that actually means that a girl has become very passionate about NFTs and started drawing all the time and is enjoying it finally. And so or when you see headlines like NFTs are harmful to the environment, this is very good that this trend came out, because as soon as it spread like wildfire, that question became incredibly prevalent in every single talk that I did with like normies. And so it was a great opportunity to explain that this is not true at all, and that this is just absolute nonsense. And so it just, this exposure helps us educate more people about more types of media, about more types of content, more types of security, and more types of access to information. And that's all that it's about, really, access to information. It's very difficult right now to convince people that they need freedom of access to information in general before they lose this access. But the problem is that when they lose this access, it is no longer possible to teach them about prevention to lose this access. So by just making them pay attention through sheer exposure and just familiarity, we're actually moving the world forward a lot. And so this is what is actually really good about all of this, and what we're going towards.
Okay, thank you. Someone else who would like to add to that?
I'll just say that well, we focus a lot on decentralized economics because really it's money that's controlling the world, right? And and you mentioned the whole point about central banks kind of money printer go burr without any kind of democratic oversight. So that's a huge problem, and that's really where the idea of decentralized governance in Sora can kind of allow you to kind of be able to mint money, but do it in a socially responsible way, because you have democratic controls over the creation of new tokens. And I think that's extremely important to have, because if you don't have the ability to mint tokens, then you don't have the ability to expand your economy, and you can't compete with you aren't able to compete with the traditional financial system. And if you can't compete with the legacy financial system, then how are you supposed to to overcome them, right? So because they can just print as much money as they want, and they can do really rational economic policy if they wanted to compete. So being able to kind of bring people together all over the world and have clear governance procedures for them to be able to mint and allocate new tokens in an economy is really something that can solve a lot of other structural issues. So things like centralized control of the media, centralized control by many VCs and many different projects. These can be overcome by allowing new access to new areas of funding for people who want to build new goods and services. So they don't have to be part of the financial machine. They can actually come, get an alternative funding source and be able to do things in a unique and I would say liberated way for the good of humanity. And if they're able to convince people that that it's good that whatever they're building is good for humanity, so it offsets the cost of inflation of the token supply, then they can actually go and do that. And I think that's quite important. So that's what we're trying to do in Sora. And really we're focusing just like a laser beam on this kind of financial markets infrastructure that's decentralized.
Okay. Thank you, Makoto. Young Beef or Alex, do you want to add something, or shall we continue? Maybe let's go to a few of your probably favorite questions, a few when questions. Makoto, when will Remark and Sub and other Kusama ecosystem tokens be tradable on Polkaswap?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a good question. So what we do to enable that is first we need to start our crowd loan for Kusama, a parachain, and then we have to use a bridge palette that Parody has been working on. It has to be finished, of course, too, in order to bridge between our parachain and the existing Sora network. So it's going to be quite a while. But it's more of like on the order of, I would say, months and not years. So hopefully that's a good answer. For the Kusama parachain, it's the end of the year and then things are kind of busy. I think so. We fixed one problem today that was blocking us with starting the crowd loan, but we're still testing our parachain, and I think it's good to deliver high quality rather than trying to rush things at the end of the year. So we'll see when we are able to start the crowd loan, but we'll have greater clarity at the end of this week.
Okay, Young Beef, you shared your love for Kusama ecosystem, but when Polkadot for Subsocial?
Yeah, we don't actually have any plans for that at the moment. We're not doing a two-chain model like most of the other projects are. So we're just going to be on Kusama at the moment. Well, so we do have two chains, but we're not going to have one on each relay chain. We just have our parachain on Kusama, and then have our solo chain. If we do end up on Kusama, it will probably be like Kilt, where we'll just move from Kusama to Polkadot. But personally, I don't really see the need to do that. It will just cost more to get a slot, and we'll have to deal with slower governance. So it might happen, but we don't have any plans at the moment. And personally, I don't see a need or a reason why we would.
Okay, no, that's clear. Alex, when I Googled your name, the first links that appeared were from LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, GitHub, and Facebook. When will Subsocial be number one if I Google someone's name?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that something that you think about, that you try to get higher in the rankings, or that you have more visibility on Google or other search engines?
Yeah, so in past we worked on search engine optimization, and if you type something like site semicolon app.subsocial.network, you will see like thousands of pages indexed. But I think it requires more love in terms of search engine optimization, and we're thinking that we need to hire a dedicated person for this. But so far we have been busy with all these crowd loans and token claims. And before you ask about what should be improved or added to Polkadot Kusama to make it shine, and that all these dances around crowd loans, auctions is huge pain in the ass. It takes so much time. Development. I mean, sometimes I start feel that I'm not a startupper, but like bureaucracy man that like go here, upgrade substrate. While you're upgrading substrate to version X, there is substrate version Y. You need to upgrade to Y. And then while you're upgrading, there is Parachains happening and cross and auctions, and you need to think about this, and then you're preparing to Parachains crowd loans, and then you realize that performance is not great, and then you need to think like how it can handle all the requests from the users, and yeah, maybe there should be another chain. Like so many questions and challenges. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally understand why people tend to go and just build yet another smart contract or even fork, because yeah, I mean, it was not so easy even on Ethereum in 2017, for example. But with years we received and we built so many tools. So the tools will be built for Polkadot. But all this approach with building the whole chain, even if it's assembling different pallets that already exist, and then going through this process of crowd loan is crazy stuff. If you have been building website, just normal website, it could took like 4 times faster to have what we have. But we upgraded the substrate so many times. We upgraded connection on UIs, types that are generated for blockchain structures different became obsolete, and then you need to upgrade metadata. And I mean, you do so many not just product. So sometimes it's so sad. Like you're not developing the product, you're developing like all this I don't know, bridges and pillars, and trying to make it stand and not fall. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, following up on that, a question to both you and Young Beef. You are with Subsocial the only project here that has a parachain. Looking at the timing, knowing what you know now, would you do it at the same timing to go for the crowd loan and the parachain slot, or would you do it later at a later stage or earlier, or what is your feedback knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like on one hand, I've waited longer and gotten a slot with less KSM, but I don't think it really matters much. You know, I mean, we still have our beta net is still going, and we'll still be relaunching that to a main net with a full set of validators at some point. But it doesn't really. It's already been live for a year, so in terms of when we get the crowd loan, it doesn't really affect the actual network.
Okay, so you would keep it the same.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only good argument for waiting would be that XCMP isn't really running right now, so having a parachain is not a whole lot of point to it. So it might have been better to wait a little while because we're kind of paying for a lease period that we may not be able to really use exactly, but I think it was, you know, it's good marketing to get a parachain earlier and stuff like that. So
I guess so indeed. Yeah, Bruno, going to you now. When will Remark have its gaming and Metaverse or NFTs on mobile? When will I see kids and commuters on the train and the bus play around with Remark on their phone? Or which thing?
Next year for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So our priority is mobile focus, not in terms of building a mobile app, because that would never fly to the app stores. But it will be loadable and playable on mobile just as intuitively on the desktop, and all the prototypes that we built before the main launch will also be usable and playable on mobile. The real problem will be competing with what's out there. Fundamentally, when you look at it from a zoomed out perspective, perspective, our stuff will not offer anything that these people don't think they have in all the various free-to-play games that can now be, downloaded in bulk in all of these app stores. So it's more a matter of communicating true ownership of experience and, being able to transfer out everything that your avatar has accomplished, everything that you've accomplished, transfer it out, not just out of this metaverse, but into others not built by us. And this is why we're actively working on some partnership that will expand both the reach of the Canaria Skybreach metaverse, but also that will take these avatars into other projects and products, and also that will merge the item economy of another game or another project with ours and so on. So a true blend of all of these experiences, decentralized and free, and able to cater to everybody, just by unleashing this whole economic layer on gaming. So this is what I think will be the biggest hurdle, but also the biggest payoff.
Probably, yes. And you see that already next year?
Definitely.
That's quite fast, actually. I know everybody is always impatient, but if you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, a year is not a lot. All right, maybe before moving to community questions, do you guys have any questions for each other, actually?
Yeah, Makoto, how would you describe Sora to my mother?
That's a great question. Yeah, because Sora is kind of like a decentralized central bank, and most people don't really understand economics or how central banks work. But yeah, that's kind of how I would say it is, like a decentralized central bank.
Okay, my mother would be more confused by this, but good try.
It's at least we could try. But yeah, I agree that it's a little challenging. Well, the whole thing about money is, right, you shouldn't have to even think about what it is or anything. It should just kind of work behind the scenes. In fact, Bank of Japan was often referred to this by, I forget which governor of the Bank of Japan said that the Bank of Japan should work like in silence, like the forest that protects the shrine. So in Japanese shrines, there's a Ejunomori is surrounding the shrine, and that's kind of became a euphemism for the Bank of Japan. So it's there protecting, but you don't really think about it. It's not the main deal.
Yeah, to be honest, before I dived into Sora, I was also not really fully aware of how everything works around money in the background. So can understand that just saying it's a decentralized central bank does not ring a bell for everyone. Any other questions? Okay, great. Maybe some of you have questions. I hope I can put you as a speaker. Yeah, maybe you can DM the PoCoCo Twitter account, and I can have a look there. And otherwise, let's have a quick look. No new messages at the moment. But in any case, gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much. It was, for me, it was very interesting. Very, very happy and honored to have you as the first guests to our Twitter space. Do you have any final words, or maybe a holiday wish for here?
I wish for everybody to be bold and risky, and if you have any ideas, just launch. Don't think, don't plan, just do something, launch. This is a lesson I have to keep repeating for myself, because over the years I've had so many product ideas, and I would spend 2 months thinking about a domain name, and then 2 more about a logo. And then I would log into Twitter and see that somebody else built it because I was taking too long. So this is how Remark came about. I just decided to launch without waiting. And so, he who ships wins. So ship and win, and don't be afraid of failing.
That's a great message. Just go for it. Someone else?
Yeah, I'll just give some holiday advice for some people, since I know so many of us are in this space 24/7, don't really take any time off. delete Twitter from your phone, Discord, tell it literally just delete it for a couple days, take a few days off, go spend some time with your family, don't think about crypto, and you'll come back next year ready to kill it.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm visiting my parents for the first time in months, so I'm gonna enjoy the time with them. Thanks, Young Beef. Someone else?
Don't
Yep.
delete Subsocial though.
No.
But yeah, maybe I'll just say, yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the end of the year. In Japan, especially, end of the year is really a time of refreshing. You're supposed to go and clean house and do all this stuff that you don't normally do. And I think it's quite important to kind of do this type of reset and take care of yourself, your health. Don't be afraid of, if you take good care of yourself, you don't have to be so afraid of getting sick or anything. So drink some chaga tea and other things. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Makoto. I see Alex is connecting and we lost him. Okay, then I think we can conclude here. Again, thank you very much. Also, all the listeners, thank you for joining. Oh, sorry, I have 4 requests for a question. I will just appoint you as a speaker. Ramani, and then you can ask your question. Let see. Yes, welcome. Ramani, you are now a speaker.
What is the real problem NFT and then the game changes are facing now?
Sorry, so if I understood correctly, what is the real problem that NFTs are facing today?
And then you are talking about owning the original or some. What is the real world facing in NFTs and facing problem? I mean,
Okay. Yeah. Bruno, I think that's probably something. Which problems are you facing with NFTs and metaverses today?
The same problems as crypto in general. UX, token gating, people having trouble getting the hang of just interacting with wallets, signing transactions. All of that is way too complicated for most people. So the same problems apply here. In terms of the metaverses don't actually exist yet. All of the metaverses that are out there right now or are planning to launch actually are making the same mistake, all of them. And that is that they're basically multiplayer games running on somebody's server. This is not a metaverse. These games will disappear as soon as that server disappears, and your avatar will disappear alongside them. So we are very far away from a real metaverse. Well, we are 1 year away from a real metaverse, but we are away from real 3D metaverses as advertised in Ready Player One, or so many of the demos that were shown on Twitter. So yeah, in that regard, decentralization is the biggest problem of metaverses, and user experience and token barriers are the real problem of just NFTs in general.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question, maybe we can go to Drew or Doobie Buller. You should now be a speaker.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me up. I had 2 questions. My question is to the Sora team and the growth that you guys have done in a couple past years. What was like the most challenging part of introducing something that hasn't been done before? And what were the challenges of like targeting an overseas market? Was it important to like get the ground root relationships first before you start introducing products, or how did that go about? I'm sharing similar obstacles as well.
That's a good question. So yeah, there's actually quite a lot of new things with Sora. So I would say the biggest challenge that we faced was really education, because we have to kind of explain to people like why they should care about the system, because the Sora economy is still small, and it's not to the it's not like the US dollar or something that you don't have to actually have people understand things. We're at the phase where everyone is really a founder of this new ecosystem. And so they all have to really have an understanding of like how it works and why they should care and kind of understand the key points. And doing this education is not at all trivial. Regarding targeting international community, yeah, we kind of just do things kind of in a serendipitous way. So we were that in certain localities, we were able to just have good community members that were able to come and build a lot of the community. So we actually have a pretty vibrant community in Spanish-speaking countries, and that's really, it's not something that I've done because I don't speak Spanish, though I did study in high school. And we do have like now one guy on our team who speaks Spanish, but we never really kind of did this. It was really just something that organically came because these people saw the need. That goes hand in hand with the education. You teach people why they should care about what you're doing, and then they can figure out how they can apply it to their localities and their lives. One thing I really wish that we could get people to do is really to work more with their governments to try to get Zora's legal tender. It's really a shame that Bitcoin had to be the first in El Salvador because there are quite a lot of deficits in having deflationary type of token. Bitcoin's not technically deflationary, but long term it is, and there's no way to really allocate money. So like every time the government needs more Bitcoins, they have to go out and use their reserves of dollars or something to go out and buy these Bitcoins, and that's not really an efficient use of purchasing power in an economy. And in fact, without the creation of purchasing power, you can't really have the creation of new goods and services because it's kind of redirecting money from one use to another use, and that's it's a pretty important point, and I think a lot of people don't understand it, so it makes it a little bit hard to explain. But there are quite a lot of good opportunities for Sora to be used by governments in this way, I think.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, I got a lot of insight from that. Basically, target on my key community members that already are international, and just try to like home in on try to use them as like anchors to try to like build a stronger connection overseas. My second question was to the comment that Bruno made about all these metaverses are like they're gonna be gone in years. Me and my team are in the process of building ours. Our NFT is already out, but we're in the process of building our game. And you did hit on a point that we are paying to use other servers. So I wanted to know, what would be your suggestion? Should we use like decentralized nodes as an independent provider of Web3 internet base, or like how would you imagine it should be more transparent or more secure for people that want to go long term and actually creating a legit metaverse?
Well, the first thing to do is to decentralize asset ownership by making the assets non-primitive. Right now, you have like so the fundamental way the metaverses work right now is, if in relation to NFTs, is if you have like something like let's say a Bored Ape, and you want to take it as an avatar into a game. What happens is you have to contact the team behind the metaverse to build you that avatar in 3D, and then they will, in their database, map that avatar to your address when the address check is done when you log in. This doesn't mean you own that 3D avatar. That avatar belongs to the metaverse, and when that metaverse is gone, your avatar is gone. So if you have smarter NFTs that can have multiple resources at once, like ours, then your 3D model can be part of your NFT avatar, and so then it's always with you. But this also then ties into other parts of ownership, where skills are NFTs that you have inside of your NFT, where items that you get in that metaverse are part of your NFT. They're inside of it. And so if everything's an NFT, and these NFTs can contain each other, then you can take your entire NFT experience with you. And by doing that, you allow anybody else to reconstruct that metaverse on demand with alternative UIs, with, they can build their own clients to this metaverse. In terms of execution logic, so you can delegate that and have everybody run their own client by, someone just building this and reading these NFTs and then reconstructing the metaverse from this, basically. The other way is to use some sort of fog computing blockchain like iExec or Fala's FAT contract and so on, to actually run this logic in a decentralized way by blockchain nodes. And there you get immunity to server downtime, essentially. So these are two of the approaches, but for either one of them, you need to move away from the primitive NFT of ERC 721 and ERC 1155.
Okay, so just be clear, you're suggesting that maybe set up a a network, all the users and the holders using their actual pair point as a provider for a server of the network. So basically, kind of like how crypto is now, more and more peers contributing to the security of that metaverse in a sense. Is that what you're getting at?
That's the third way, where every player is also a node in the network and can help secure it and run it, but it's not necessary and not realistic if you really want to have a mobile experience. So in this way, you would piggyback on existing blockchains and use them for what they're supposed to be used for. So, for example, if you have projects like, GoExec or like I mentioned, Fala's FAT contract, this allows you to run logic on-chain and then your clients to read from that logic. So your client apps will read from that logic being executed in a decentralized way. So this is exactly like running, whatever you're running on right now, AWS or whatever. But in this case, it's running on blockchain nodes. It doesn't have nearly the same processing power, and it costs to process. So there's some different economics at play, but it is the way. That is decentralized the metaverse.
Thank you. I really appreciate both of you guys' answers and your insight, man.
Sure. Cheers. Thank you all. I'm going to have to dash, but please feel free to keep going and hit us up in Telegram. Cheers.
We have two more questions, one from Drew, one from Theodorus. Drew, you can kick it off.
Oh, hello, guys. Thank you so much. I really love this space. Thank you for putting it together. I hope Bruno can maybe hear this before he goes. I mean, it goes to sort of the question of can you teach my grandma how to use any type of really decentralized system right now? And I think it really goes to the fact that does this person usually use a computer to log into their bank account? I think if that answer is yes, then yes, you can definitely teach somebody how to use some of these systems right here. It's really tough at the end of the day, of course, when somebody goes into an elderly point, kind of disconnects from what's going on. But I believe that in essence, after using Polkaswap and Sora for a little bit, it really is a click and play sort of thing. And I'm really happy that it has come to that. I literally used it from the beginning on the first day. And obviously we know we had a little trouble there, but I think it's really great. I also really love the fact that the partnership that Sora has made with Remark now and showing the community that those type of partnerships are happening and there is people communication in the background, because I think it is important to just sort of bring the community together in that way. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm also actually a Spanish speaker, and I am actually surprised, as Makoto was saying, which is an honor to speak next to you guys here. That there is a lot of Spanish speaking people that I've found that like Sora or use Sora. So I think that's actually pretty funny. And this has helped me understand the bonding curve in a way that I never thought I would understand it from the beginning. I've actually become pretty good at explaining it, at least to my friends around me. They actually finally able to understand it. But my question, really, I really love everything that's happening. Like I said, I would really love to about what are the Q1 and Q2 for maybe the Sora network in general, and maybe even for Remaker. But I know Bruno left, so I leave you that, Makoto. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the question. Yeah, I think I also agree with you that I think the interface has gotten a lot easier on PoCoSwap. It'll get even easier too. We're looking at doing things similar to some other networks where you can potentially back up your keys using something like Google Apps, which would be quite a good step for mass adoption because people have a hard time writing down 12 words on a piece of paper. For some reason. Yeah, so as far as priorities for the next year, so obviously the first priority is really getting our Parachain up and running and being able to build this bridge between the Parachain and our Sora network, and then trying to get XCMP working with that. I think that's the first, it's a long-term priority and goal, but that's a big thing we're trying to do. Additionally, I think there's an article coming out maybe tomorrow that kind of recaps a lot of the RFPs that have been written by the community, and this will also kind of go into details about some of the things that are being worked on. But I'll just say quickly that I think oracles are a big priority because having oracles integrated into the Sora network will give us the opportunity to allow anyone to create XST assets using these oracles. So that way you could have like a lot more XST like tokens that are supported rather than just XST USD, which is pretty cool stablecoin, I think. But there's still a lot more that could be done, like with other types of currencies. So that's, I think, something that we can start to test in Q1. We're also working on Ethereum bridge improvements or EVM bridge improvements in general, and then I think we can support every EVM network eventually. But it's going to take a little bit more time just because it's really kind of hard to test these things. It takes a long time, unfortunately. But that's like a huge priority for us, and that's something that we're working on. So
thank you so much. Oracle is very important, and the ETH bridge, in my opinion, at least, I've seen that has definitely got it cheaper. I don't know, more efficient, but definitely cheaper. So thank you.
I think the Ethereum price just went down or something. But yeah, I think it'll be really exciting to have other networks supported like BSC and Avalanche. I guess we could support Tron too, if anyone cares about that anymore. Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for the question, Drew, indeed. Theodorus, you have the last question.
Okay, so my question is, how would you explain the difference between the XCMP and traditional bridge, and if you can, the difference between it and IBC from Atom?
So the difference between the cross-chain messaging on a relay chain and a bridge.
Yeah.
Who can answer that?
Yeah, I can probably try to answer this. So bridge typically has some element of, well, it doesn't have to have an element of trust, but it's kind of like more narrowly defined. So a bridge is like a two-way peg, and you have some trust in the consensus of the other chain that you're working on. So like, for example, if you bridge to Ethereum, you trust that Ethereum's consensus is not going to fail, and that no one's hacking Ethereum consensus. The way the parachains work, especially through XCMP, well, XCMP is still a work in progress, but everything is kind of going through the trust of the relay chain. So the state transitions are being put onto the relay chain for each of them, and this allows you to have the same level of trust in the whole system that the relay chain has. So if you trust Polkadot, which has, I guess, billions of dollars locked up in it, then you can trust every parachain and every transaction that you're doing between parachains. And then XCMP is just a standardized messaging format for kind of going through this. So I can't answer the question about Atom because I don't really know the details about how that works. Maybe someone else.
So okay, I guess that was it for today then. Thanks a lot for your question, Theodoros. I hope it was clear to you.
Yeah, it's clear. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, guests Makoto, Alex, Young Beef, and Bruno. And happy holidays to everyone. And see you on the next one in 2 weeks, probably. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
for having us.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks. Bye.